All right, yo, welcome back to another video. We want to jump right into this live video. Billy Carson and another individual. I forget his name, but I'm going to share my screen, and they are dropping nuggets, man. Let me share my screen. Let me get my layout. Let me share my screen. Hold up. Uh, Not that one. This one right here. Okay. All right, let's
Open to
continue
receive the
on.
energy. Those are the ones that's going to be able to walk into the Christ energy. So it's really a consciousness. It's not subjected to a demographic of people. A lot of people like to believe that, oh, I'm a God because I got melanin, or I'm a God because I come from the specific Canaanite background. A lot of people like it's a consciousness that basically interfaces with your Ethereal energy, because the universe doesn't read, skin color. It reads frequency. It's kind of like the same thing when you watch the movie Predator. When the alien god, the Predator god, when he was able to like scan the spores or whatever, when he's looking for his prey, he sees frequency. He don't see people.
Right.
Yeah.
So everything is all about your biorhythm.
That's right, man. So powerful. That's so true, man. I think we get caught up in these meat suits a little bit too much,
Yes.
Obviously, there's a race of people that have been completely obsessed with the way that our melanin reflects sunlight, and a lot of our natural abilities have really kind of peeved them so much so that they've gone around the world and taken over most of the planet. But at the end of the day, from a more higher level conscious being looking down at us, it's all about really what? It's all about our energy. It's all about our vibration, our frequency. On a universal scale, universal level, I agree with you 100%. On the God consciousness level, which brings back the return of the Christ consciousness to this planet and even throughout the universe. I believe you. It's just it's a way of being. It's a mindset. It's a conscious vibration that taps into that God energy, that creative energy, and that to me really is the second coming. I don't think there's a person coming back. I think it's the Christ consciousness returning to mankind to help us usher us heal ourselves internally and take us back. We take ourselves back into a new golden age. We begin in some way at that point manifest on earth. Yeah,
that's a fact, and I'm glad you brought that up because especially during this time period, because you just had, it happens every 24,000 years. You had the star Regulus in alignment with the Sphinx in Egypt, and then when you get into the inception of the word Easter, it comes from the word Ishtar in ancient Kemetic spirituality, that is actually Isis. So that means that there's a feminine energy to the planet, because the whole apex of spirituality is really it's basically feminine energy. So when you talk about feminine energy, it's not all about subjugating the vibration of masculinity. It's all about two energies, divine feminine and masculine, being able to coexist with each other during the time of when you have a fifth dimensional civilization, during the time when you have heaven interfacing with earth. So I agree with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. And do you think that we're choosing our outcomes, or do you think that we're collapsing probability fields into reality?
Definitely. We're picking our outcomes.
I think that we're actually collapsing the outcomes, because, like I said, it depends on who you are as an individual. So when you, like I said, when you have the cosmic convergence of the 144,000 and cultivate that Christ energy, that's what basically compromises and collapses the demiurge. It's only a demographic of people, because, like I said, you do have chosen individuals on the planet. Everybody's chosen for something. You have a chosen that's working with negative forces, then you have some working with benevolent forces. So I believe that the benevolent ones is actually using their truth, their cosmic sword, in the word of truth. They're propagating that energy, and that's basically manipulating the simulation in real time. So like I said, the love frequency is the only thing that can basically manipulate the space-time continuum, because love is the only thing that can collapse the demiurge. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Explain what the demiurge is to my my listeners, just so they can get an understanding from your perspective.
The demiurge is basically the third dimension merged in with the lower fourth dimension. It's a prison planet. You're basically quarantined in a like a pretty much. So when you look at the word planet, you got the word net in there. So there's a thing called the draconian reptilian net, or the net of Indria. So when you get into like geomancy and things of that nature, you got certain ley line energy grid systems. You know, the Freemasons, they build churches on certain ley lines. They build certain restaurants on certain ley lines. The great majority of these, you know, corporations, they build them on certain ley lines to siphon energy. So that's how the great majority of these archonic forces is able to do that. Like, hypothetically speaking, like the people who control the food industry, they will build, who are also Freemasons, they will build a McDonald's on the 33rd parallel. Like, everything is pretty much strategic. It's an energy extraction. And it's also a form of sacrifice that's interconnected to Babylonian money magic and Babylonian blood magic and anything that's connected to Canaanite culture. So,
I don't think a lot of people realize how they orchestrate this reality, how they extract not only the energy, but also what is really another frequency, which is we call money, which is just a vibration and a frequency. And even control is another type of energy that they wield over us, but they do it so strategically, understanding the nature of this reality and how to manipulate, how to take and absorb the energy, and how to wield the energy, how to absorb the electromagnetic fields, how to turn that into power. All the rituals and things that they do, and what I think also exists is the fact that the energy that they're wielding and controlling is one energy, but they've pushed it to a different polarity.
Yes.
Just like you got the Jedi, and then you have the Empire. The Jedi and the Empire are using the same force, right? One's using it for good, one's using it for evil. And that's how, but they at the highest level, they got this wizardry, they got this knowledge, which came from the ancient mystery schools, really. And they have been utilizing that knowledge and then keeping us thinking that knowledge is useless, and just keep going to your little chapel every weekend, and maybe you'll manifest
literally. Right. Yeah, that's a pretty sad concept to live by, you know. So and then also to add on to what the demiurge is, this is why they created Neuralink, because the Neuralink is basically a mimic of energy of the neuromelanin, which is the brain and central nervous system melanin that interfaces with the electrical energy of your fascia. So with Neuralink, what they want to do is they want you to interface with these 15-minute smart cities. So that's why, you know, the sustainable development goals for the agenda for 2030 is all based on data, human extraction, you know. So and it's another form of light code lockdown, because, you know, westernized technology, artificial intelligence technology, that is the silver cord. Technology locks down your DNA, because, like I said, we're going through an unraveling process, because whether it's, you know, metaphysical, or whether it's one of those things that actually takes place in the physical world, but you have an unraveling every 80 years. There's a crisis that takes place on the planet every 80 years. That's when you get into the 80-year theory. So from 2025, and I think all the way back from World War III, that was like an 80-year period where, you know, it was like a transitional point. And now from 2025 all the way up until, you know, 2030, we're in that transition point to where you're going to have an ecological humanitarian crisis, to where they create that reset and then set up these smart cities. They want the smart city set up in LA by 2028. So that pretty much denotes the fact that there's going to be some type of catastrophic event that's going to be taking place in that landmass. So the same guy who bought 9/11, you know, the buildings or whatever, he bought that tower building over in California, the Capitol building.
Larry Silverstein. Larry Silverstein. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the guy who put an insurance policy on the Twin Towers in New York right before they had the collapse, cashed out. And then he already had a pre-approved plan for a new structure to be built in the spot where those towers were located before they collapsed, before the attack even happened. Yeah, that was crazy.
And they showed it, and it's premeditated, because they show you in the movie San Andreas. It shows you collapse, and then you got the Twin Towers that played for the Spurs in 1999. Tim Duncan and David Robinson. 9/11 ritual. And then you got Jalen Brunson his father wore number 9. He wears 11, 9/11.
Mm.
And then I think the nomenclature
Get
title
outta
for the
here.
Pope, I think his gematria title, Pope Leo XIV, I think his gematria number translates to 88, which is also interconnected to the Golden Gate Bridge ritual. So there's a lot of stuff that's taking place. Like there's an algorithm. Like I was, talking to Rod Hayes about when you go to the movies, when you look at the movies, the premieres or whatever, and they got all the movies up, these are nothing but hieroglyphics. There's a movie that just came out called Beast. There's a movie that just came out called Michael. They have another movie called Is God Is. There's an algorithm that has to mirror everything that's taking place in theological context, and the same thing happens with sports. So if you're able to read the timeline, you can see what's going to be taking place in the future as far as what they talk about in Revelation.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I believe it. There's this. Well, we're living in a programmed matrix, and I believe that the way that we're actually maneuvering through it is that collective data, just like the data centers. Our sensory perception system is collecting this data through touch, smell, hearing, seeing, sight, which is really just interpretations of electromagnetic fields, gets sent to the brain, and the brain projects this holographic projection as to what it believes is going on outside the skull, and we navigate this matrix based on a holographic projection from collected data. And so it doesn't surprise me that we're living this life of this technological I guess, a rise in civilization based on nothing but data. Data now is the most valuable thing on the planet. And for us, as far as a human being is concerned, the most valuable thing in the universe.
Yes. Yep.
So,
and that's why they use. Okay,
go ahead. Go ahead. No, I want you to finish that.
No, that's why I was. That's why they use the smart dust particles. They use the MQ9 Nano Reaper drone technology. And they use it to basically, like I said, it's another mechanism to siphon energy. That's all it is. Everything is based on siphoning energy to make you interface with the EMF wave frequencies that basically, mimics your actual biological structure, because the parasites in the body is basically mimicking everything, that takes place naturally. So these frequencies and those smart dust particles is basically, inverting your biorhythm, and is inverting your bandwidth, so it basically throws you off frequency. So
they got so many angles that they come at us with. Do you think that the angels, extraterrestrials, or interdimensionals, whatever it is, that they could be the administrators of the simulation?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
But they cannot infiltrate. I think it's kind of like one of those things, like when you're rearing your child. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they got to go through, trial and error. They got to go through all these afflictions and these implications. It's like I said, planet Earth this is basically like a training form for ascension. You know what I'm saying? So just like when you look at a Masonic tracing board, the steps don't go to the two pillars; they go to the middle. You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where you got to be in a state of evolution. You got to go from neophyte, adept, and master. So the administrators, they're going to put you in alignment to where you're able to master this realm. And they do it through you by, the activation of the neutrinos, because the neutrinos, when you're talking about angels, you're talking about angels of light or angels of light. They come down at 90-degree angles. So that's why when you go to the temple of Seti in ancient Kemetic spirituality, the temple of Seti was in dedication to Osiris, and they showed the monolithic structure shows a 90-degree angle. It's like an L. Because the L, the 90-degree angle, is what makes you a Elohim, a L. It literally makes you that. So these neutrinos that's coming in, they're interfacing with you. So the ancestors is working through you only if you have the ability to, receive the information or receive the activation. So like I said, the ancestors are the administrators, but, they will work through you if you're open to receive, the energy.
Right.
Yep. So I'm gonna end the video right there. These guys are spitting knowledge, but I'm ending it here just because storage. It's always weird with storage, man. So yeah, like, subscribe, and comment. I believe this is an amazing conversation. These fellas right here are very highly pioneers of helping us in ascension. All of us are collectively doing that together. But Billy Carson, this guy right here, I really forget his name. But yeah, these folks here are pretty well rounded to get information to tap into to be able to start answering questions that you always had questions to. Peace.